I often talk about how Marvel and what Stan did was take what DC did and kind of make them more human, and really was more interested in that.
The three of you think you have extraordinary gifts, like something out of a comic book.
When you wrote Unbreakable, what was already on your mind regarding the whole trilogy?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I would make a trilogy at that time. It took 18, 19 years, but that was the original thought, was to make a trilogy. I had this idea about a guy who survives a plane crash and he didn't have a scratch on him. That was the original thought that came into my head. And then I thought maybe it could be Bruce. And then I love Pulp Fiction. That's one of my favorite movies. And so I wanted to have Sam and Bruce from that movie. I know they weren't in a lot of scenes together, but I loved the vibe that they had, and I kind of told them that we might do three. I had in my head a second movie called Split, which was, you know, the one we did much later.
And how was the conversation with Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson to call them to return to these characters?
It was very easy because they wanted to make the movie for 15, 16, 17, 18 years. They just kept talking to me about it.
You know how you can tell who the arch villain's going to be? He's the exact opposite of the hero.
I said, Sam, I want to show you a movie. And he's like, okay, what? And I was like, I'm just going to screen a movie for you. Go to this theater at this time, and I'll screen a movie. So I screened him Split. So at the end, the last line is, they call it Mr. Glass, right? At the end.
Mr. Glass.
He called me from the parking lot. He's like, what does this mean? And I'm like, we're going to make the final movie. So I was very kind of playful with them about how we did it. And Bruce, who's obviously in Split, I called and said, hey, I have this crazy idea. Would you show up at the end? And it'll take 2 hours. Would you come in and go and say this line and then leave? And he was like, yeah, man, let's do it. So he just came and we just did it really quick. And we wanted to wait and see whether Split did well.
Your heroes are more normal than super. How did you come to this?
Well, I love the way you said that, because that's beautiful. That's kind of what I'm trying to do and what interests me. You know, when something is fantasy, it's harder for me to take something away from it. You know, I love fantasy movies, I love all those things, but for me as an artist, I want to feel like it's connecting with me as a person. So I try to make the hallways look like real hallways. I try to make the performances to be grounded. I try to make it so that it's possible, just the smallest possibility. What Sam has in the movie, osteogenesis imperfecta, it exists. So then the opposite probably exists as well. Someone whose bones don't break very easily. The disorder that Kevin Wendell Crumb has is a real disorder, and it has these incredible physiological changes that happen to a human being when you have that disorder.
Por favor, señora. I want my headphones back.
Step away from the controls now, little doctor.
Can't beat the beat!
We lost Stan Lee a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it is curious to think that the Unbreakable characters could have been created by him.
Yes.
So he was an inspiration for you.
I think I know that guy.
For sure. I often talk about how Marvel and what Stan did was take what DC did and kind of make them more human and make them more character driven a little bit, and really was more interested in that, and wanted superheroes that had to pay the bills and had to deal with, you know, problems that we all deal with. And I love that. I want it to be more character driven.
Good for you.